Oh, wow.
She says everywhere she goes, everyone like, "God, that's lawyer's mother." So my dad was like, then it is his turn also. I said, you shouldn't worry. Our father said, we'll go to the farm. I know.
Wow.
We can see some light ahead.
He shared something very insightful that I feel like every man out there should see.
If everybody feels you, you yourself must not feel yourself. So you must know that.
So we also talked about relationships.
Well, somebody can post you 24/7, and yet you may mean nothing to that person.
And this is like a wealth of knowledge from someone who's actually doing it and is in this process. So it's a lot of information that you can do a lot of things with, especially for people that want to stick to the process. And if you're not looking for like a quick fix kind of solution, this is the kind of video for you, for the people that believes in process.
You get her pictures now in social media, so like post my picture, everybody has to know that you are going out with me. And know that. Why is it like that?
A misunderstanding of what actually holds relationships. You know, that is a typical example of following the trends. And the danger of following the trends is that you may lose sense of self-identity.
Explain that.
Yeah, I mean that's the danger. If you are just someone who follows trends, sooner you will lose a sense of self-identity. When would you trend? When would you become the trend? Why must you always follow people's trends? You get it? So a fashion is trending, and there you go. A song is trending, there you go. A personality is trending, there you go. And when would you yourself be the trend?
Oh, okay. So if I get you are trying to say that following trends is like somebody put out a script and everybody has to play out the script.
Man, exactly what it is. So the question is that when would you put out the script?
So when will you bring your own script?
Your own script. You know, so if you don't take time, you live all your life in the shadow of others and what the agenda people set, and you just be following. And yeah, the typical, I mean, what happens with women generally who are like, oh, post me, oh, post me, oh, post me. It's just a social media freak that people are following without even knowing. Because you know what, somebody can post you 24/7, and yet you may mean nothing to that person. Or the reality may play out differently when you start really going out with that person. And when we talk about going out, it's not about social media outing. You know, many people think that outing now is a social media thing. So when he posts me, then he laughs me. I'm permanently on his status. You know, so I mean, so no. The reality of relationship is when you begin to sit down one-on-one, you begin to talk, you begin to plan together, you begin to look into the future, and then you realize that no, the thing was beyond posting. They are posting me. Yeah, I'll post you. But really, relationship goes beyond posting. You know, so I think that there is so much that our world needs to do. A lot of our young guys are, and not young guys alone, but young girls also, are completely lost in the shadow of others. They don't even have any sense of personal dignity, any sense of personal identity. They cannot accept who they are, and they are always hiding under the shadow of others. So, I mean, it's just unfortunate.
But I mean,
I cry for this world.
Like, you have to pay attention to your own story and then push like your own agenda rather than being in the shadows of everybody else and the trend. I know your time there'll be trends, there'll be cool stuff that's happening on maybe radio or TV, depending on what.
Yeah, there were many times. I mean, I think there was a time in my life that I went to a seminar organized by Bishop David Oyedepo. And in that seminar, it was just a statement that came because we're just teaching and undergoing so many topics, and we're learning several topics, and this very topic that says that I think it's in a conversation where it came up that there are things known as life wasters, things that waste your life. And one of such things was television. And remember that our time, the trends were determined by television. And so I will not be surprised that today social media is taking over many people's life and is wasting their lives. In fact, they are spending all their time on social media.
Like television on steroids.
Yeah, and they have no life beyond social media. But that is dangerous. Because in the real world, the real world means more than social media. Yeah. You see, the social media is a creation that can black out one day. When it blacks out,
what else do you have?
nothing. People have stopped going to school, people have stopped reading, people have stopped researching, and now it's easier to just put something on Instagram, and once you can quote and unquote generate the traffic, then you can get some paid up ads. So sometimes even the content are not anything building anyone, but because you can generate the traffic. And that's why it's so easy to just remove your panties and you trend.
Yeah, you do the obvious stuff that everybody
everybody
likes.
want to like.
Yeah.
And so social media, honestly speaking, it has its place. But to a very large extent, it has become life wasters for many people. And when I heard that statement that TVs are life wasters, I decided to inquire further. I got to know that anytime you sit down to watch television, you'll definitely be watching someone's script. You watch TV,
someone else's narrative,
and you watch TV to pay somebody. There's somebody who did lighting, he gets paid. There's somebody who did script writing, somebody did camera, somebody acted.
And there are sponsors that have agendas that need certain things to be played out certain ways so that their products will sell.
And I always ask myself, can't I be the cast? Why can't I be the cast?
You don't have to be like the guy watching it, right?
No,
you want to be
somebody should be watching me too.
Because you also have a story.
Yeah. Okay. I used to ask myself, so why should I sit down and watch all these football matches? Just for these guys, and these guys are being paid huge money.
So why don't I be the guy
and
who's playing?
And I sit there 1 hour, 2 hours, and I don't get anything. So why shouldn't I be the one inside there playing?
Yeah, but
so then you discover where you can play. Yours may not be soccer. Yours may just be telling stories. Yours may just be selling books. Yours may just be something. So why not discover yourself and be part of the story creators? You see, so in the whole media landscape, we have those who make the news. In fact, we have the news creators. We have the news makers. And then we have the news reviewers. And in that stretch, a large chunk of people locked up on social media today are consumers. Followed by that one are those who are just going to review. Only few make
impact
the news. Yeah. And those who make them, both the newsmakers and creators, are people, who consciously sit down. So like Instagram, they can generate some social media fight just to trend.
It's true. What you are saying is it's a new term. So it's like everybody wants to build a personal brand on LinkedIn. I want a personal brand. Personal branding is simple. If you ask me, it's do cool things and tell everybody about it. That's personal brand. Just do cool things and tell people about it. But this person is not doing any cool thing with his life. There is nothing interesting. But you want to build a brand around it.
Yeah. That's a fake brand.
It won't even work. How do you even communicate? What are you going to tell people? Well, people want experiences. They want to enjoy stuff. And there's nothing interesting or cool about you. And yet you want to build a brand. So what are you trying to achieve? Who are you?
What are you building? That's right. What's the content of what you're bringing on board?
When we take someone like you, now you're already somebody's emotion. There's somebody. You are someone. You are doing stuff. So all you need to do is just tell people about it.
That's it.
But there are people that when you they have to struggle with it. They have to find ways to create things because there's nothing really happening. There's nothing interesting.
They must create stories.
So they have to write it. You have to keep writing and coming up with
Some of us every day is a story. I mean, so so from that very early stage, I said, I believe I'm a story, and people must know about my story. I mean, look, in Ghana here, I can tell you for a fact that about some 90% of us have unique stories. Okay, bro. Ghana, you Ghana. You can say that.
You don't have a story.
You have a story, bro. Everybody has a story. Trust me.
Very powerful.
Everybody has a story. You know, everybody has a story. Bruh, Charlie, your story.
Just that people are not. Do you think it's because of insecurity, or is it that people are not telling their story?
No. You see, it's a lack of confidence in the self-identity.
Explain that. That's plenty.
Everybody must identify who he is. You see, and you must build confidence in who you are, regardless of how others feel about it. People are afraid to even admit who they are. That's what I say. They lack confidence in the self-identity. Who are you? I mean, who are you? I mean, you must know who you are. But that's the starting point. Like many people are, as I said, many people are living fake lives. So they don't have confidence in their own self-identity. And it's not easy. Honestly, I must admit that it's not easy. It doesn't come easily. Because it took me a lot of effort. And sometimes even now, to freely talk about my mother, my father. You know, it's so personal. You know what I mean?
When you're putting it out.
You know, it's so.
But funny enough, it touched so many people.
No, you know, it's so difficult to, and that's why I say the reason why it touches people is because everybody connects to it, except that everybody does not have the courage
To share it.
That's it. When I shared that video of my mom that we were cooking kinky, I mean, go check Facebook.
One of the comments that stood out for me was that people were saying that, hey MP, why wouldn't you take your mom out of that place?
Yeah.
And then somebody replied that, like, this guy has been in parliament for less than like 6 months, and you want his entire family.
It won't happen. You see, so
to transform.
You know, and that is the reality. I don't have to polish my mother, take her to Kempiski, and go and take shots and
Like create drama.
You know, and then put it on social media, on Instagram, how I celebrated my mom on Mother's Day, and then the following day she wakes up back in a small village, in a small mallet.
Even the Kempinski, does she even see the value in it?
She will not.
She will not even see the value in it.
No. That's one. The last time I got to the house, she was like, anywhere she goes, people say that, hey, that's lawyer's mother. I say, yes, you are everywhere.
And everybody know her from the internet, so it's like, oh wow.
She says everywhere she goes, everyone like, oh, that's lawyer's mother. So my dad was like, then it is his turn also. I said, you shouldn't worry. On Father's Day, we'll go to the farm. I know.
Wow.
Yeah, we made a short video.
Your story with your dad is still pending.
I know. It's not
the time yet.
Yeah, because you can see that my dad has never been in the story. Bless us with the foresight of seeing that we can see some light ahead.
That's the thing. It's all about the sight too, bro.
We can see some light.
But
So
I don't think that people don't see it. It's like they see it. Everybody can see that light. It's just that they are doubtful of it.
Yeah.
When I speak with people, they actually can put out like some really good vibes, like they want to get somewhere.
You know,
but they are very doubtful in their head.
That's the point. You see, if you are not doubtful, then you are willing to announce your vision. You see, announcement of a vision.
Like, why would you have to announce it?
You see, announcement of a vision is part of a person's commitment to that vision. You know, it is not for nothing that when a person claims to have married a woman, there is a requirement of announcement. There is a requirement of declaration, public declaration.
So that they can hold you accountable for
And you have to hold yourself also accountable. You see, when you have announced, you cannot, in fact, if everybody fails you, you yourself must not fail yourself. So you must know that. Finally, when you know that, look, the way people they watch my back, this dream will lie for happen. You know what? In the realm of these guys, the musicians, what makes them hit the highest notes, wants to be the number one trend, is because of that. They have announced themselves as some
guy. So they have to live up to that.
You must fit in. Wherever the rap is, you have to bring the rap.
But I think that like the human being has so much potential, but I don't know your understanding of it, but I think as we are growing up, some way, somehow, we find ways to just bring ourselves down so much that it's safe. I feel like
it's fear.
Yeah, because every time you want to approach a challenge, like it might not be a huge challenge. It might be just a simple thing like just going out there to get a new thing that you have never owned before, or a new equipment, or even learning a new software. Right? But there's this always innate thing that goes like, oh, you can't learn this thing, stop it, don't even go there, you get embarrassed, like don't do all these things. And then finally, when you even get yourself to just sit down, just for 1 hour, focus on it, you realize like, wow, this thing is nothing. Why was I even scared about it the whole time? And then the next time you want to even return to it, your brain is like, no, don't go back to it, no, it's scary. And I'm like, so why is it that we are so rigged to do all the things that will make us fail? And that the things that will make us excel and get to the places that we dream in our head always come secondary. We always push it forward, and we always like, I don't want to do it. Let me wait. I'm not capable. Like, why do we do that?
It's just a fear of failure. It's a fear of failure. You know, when a person declares himself as somebody who do not care about failure, that is when his success begins. I mean, you must get to a point in your life where you would say that, so I will fail, and so what?
Would you say Shatawale has that kind of thing?
He does. If I fail, I'll rise. You see, and that is why he can tell himself that if I die today, I'm still a hero.
Oh, okay, so you know his lyrics.
That is Stoneboy's song.
Oh, that's Stoneboy's, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I die today, I'm a hero, You know, so, that's the point. You see, that is, and they would trend as
long as they want to.
You see, he will trend because, you know, he's seen it, he's believed it, he's lived it, and he's working it.
And he's in the process.
And he's just there. It's something that is running. So, when you are there, sometimes what will keep them there? Maybe the consistency of what they are doing, and perhaps the need to diversify their talent and skills in other areas such that the decline will not come. Because you see, anything that grows would get to its height,
and
its
then
peak,
you have to wave down,
and then it will go down. But when it gets to its peak, instead of coming down, you can flatten it. In other words, you can sustain the level of.
How do you do that?
Or you do that by the diversification. So, for example, if you are a musician and you've sung so many songs, let's say Kiddy and all these young guys who have done so well for themselves, and maybe they made some tons of money out of this, they must understand that voice will not be there forever. Sometimes with growth, with new experiences, they may not be able to sustain a particular voice, particular note forever. So at the point that you are making so much, you might begin to diversify the talent. Things, humans, our talents are limitless. We are the only limitation to our own talent. But you also realize that our talents are limitless. We are multi-talented.
But how you said that like we are the only limit to our.
Yeah, we are the only limit, because then it's only when you see that you cannot achieve something that you don't achieve them. But if you want to do them, you can do them. Even I remember that when we're in the academics, when I was growing up, because of my peculiar background, I was not like a super best student. So I always tell kids and that, look, don't be worried if you are not the overall best student in your class. It's not really what matters. Because I remember that at the senior high school, I think at the junior high school, before we went to the senior high, I got aggregate 11. And aggregate 11 is not like a super best. But people are getting 06, 07, things like that. When I'm 11 now, when you get it. Actually, 11 means that you got 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and only 1. When you are 1 back, you get it. So you're not like the overall best student. Not average, a bit above average, but
You're good. You did there some.
You did there some. You're not like the super best student, but you did there some. When we went to St. John's, I remember when I finished, I got, I think, 2 A's, 2 B's, and 3 D's. So it's like you have some high notes on some things. You are somewhere in the middle somewhere, and the others that you don't have energy at all. See, that's a typical human being. So I think the 2 A's were, I think, economics and geography, I think. 2 B's were, I think, English and social studies. And 3 D's, I think, science, history, and I think one other or something. I've forgotten. You see that? So that is not like a super great performance. When I went to Legon, I did sociology. After my sociology, I graduated with, I think, 2nd class upper. Then I went back to do the LLB, which is the law. I graduated with a 2nd class lower, because that was more difficult and more demanding, which was my post-first degree LLB. Then, even though I graduated with a lower, went to the Ghana School of Law, finished, and having been called to the bar, I began a process to do an MPhil in sociology. I then went back to do masters in law. When I finished the masters in law, I was doing the masters in law. There was one time, one of the courses, I think geology, it was purely science-based. I think I failed and I have to rewrite it.